everybody. This is Rachel the Student Witch, and I'm here to do an updated altar tour. And I'm starting off in our office, our home office. I feel so fancy saying that. So that's all of our books. And this big table is where the magic happens. So my partner's side of the table is the other side here. This side is mine. And I'm starting here because I have a new research altar. And I'll go into a little bit more into my ideas and why I felt the need to have this altar slash bookcase here in a second. But it's right next to my side of the desk. And as you can see, I have some snacks. Pretzels and hummus is my favorite. And then I have my laptop on top of a big stack of books, just to help my posture. I'm taking a study break and I'm watching Anya Orga right now, catching up on her videos. Shout out to Anya if you're watching. My bullet journal and what I'm going to be reading after lunch. Prophecy and Eschatology in the Transatlantic World. Fun stuff. The first chapter is going to be on my to-do list, or is on my to-do list, but my altar here. Alright, so this is a bookshelf, as you can see. It is just a cheap bookshelf from Walmart. I think it was around $17. So if you're looking for a short, cheap bookshelf, check out either IKEA or Walmart, depending on where you live, because they have something for you. But basically, I was running out of room on my desk. I had big piles of books that were taking up space on my side of the desk, and I just needed a place to put them. I was feeling claustrophobic. And a lot of these books, you'll notice they have the little white tag on them. That's because they're not my personal books. They're from the university library here. And so I figured, well, if I'm going to have a little bookshelf next to my desk, why not turn the top of it into an altar space? Also, as I was putting together this bookshelf, I fucked it up. Let me show you what I tried to do. So this top part I put in upside down. It was too late for me to fix it by the time I realized I had done it, because I had already attached the back piece with all the little nails, on the back part. So I was like, okay, shit. What can I do? Well, we have a little bit of spray paint in our closet, so why don't I take it outside and I can spray paint the top of it, and it can be like a beautiful gold color, and then I can put an altar on top of that. And so I spray painted it, but I really did not like how it turned out, and I was getting impatient and frustrated with myself. So I went to my closet and I found this. This is actually an old scarf that I've had for a long time, and just turned it into an altar cloth and covered up the gold crappy mess that I had made. And voila, we have an altar. So that is witching on the fly and half-assing it all at the same time right there. But hey, it worked out and it's beautiful. So the central part of the altar has my tarot reading for the month of August with the mini Centennial Rider-Waite-Smith. I keep this copy of that deck in my office so that it's handy, and I just went ahead and used it for my monthly reading for August. This is from the Mother Mary Oracle by Alana Fairchild, one of my favorite oracle decks, and it is Our Lady Who Prevents Interference. And this image, I think, obviously harkens to the Virgin of Guadalupe, and I do a lot of work with the Virgin of Guadalupe. Actually, the second chapter of my dissertation is specifically about her and different artistic representations of her throughout the years, and her connection to Apocalypse, which is really interesting and not talked about very much. But anyway, And that chapter, even though it's chapter 2 of my dissertation, it will be the first chapter that I write once I get this goddamn prospectus done, which is what I'm working on now. Anyway. So I have her on there because I'm working with her. I'm going to be doing research with her and about her, and I appreciate her vibes and her support. But also, I originally pulled that card out and did some work with that card a few weeks ago, probably over a month ago, when the news stories about the separation of families at the US-Mexican border really started getting big, and yeah, so I pray to her to support those families going through that racist bullshit. Anyhow, so that's another reason why she's the central focus here. As for the crystals, I have selenite, smoky quartz, rose quartz, clear quartz, fluorite, amethyst, another piece of fluorite here, which I think works really, really well with the Work Your Light Oracle, which I recently got in the mail. And I like the kind of proactive energy of the Work Your Light. I mean, it's working your light, and my research is intimately tied to my spiritual practice, so it's a win-win for me. And so I plan on using this deck as like a weekly draw, because I work on my research Mondays through Fridays. It's a Monday right now. I'm taking a study break to do this. So on Monday morning, before I sit down to do work and research and whatnot, I plan on pulling a card from this deck, and that'll be my kind of guiding energies throughout the week. And fluorite, to me, is the crystal. I mean, the colors are beautiful, and they just go really well with the color palette of the Work Your Light Oracle. First of all, aesthetically speaking, but energetically, fluorite is very much all about discernment and decision making and thinking rationally, but not rationally to the detriment of emotions or, other ways of thinking. It's a very supportive stone, and I think it works really well with the energies of the Work Your Light Oracle. Plus, it's very supportive, or it's been very supportive for me in my academic work. So that's why I have 2 pieces of it here. And I have a selenite candle. Oh, this is a central quartz point to kind of, get the energy and vibrations going. This is just kind of randomly on here. It's 100 Chilean pesos, which isn't very much money in US dollars, but it's a nice little connection to Chile there. And then over here I have another beautiful piece of amethyst and a piece of jasper, a pretty heavy duty piece of jasper. But this stone, it's my anchor. Anytime I feel overwhelmed, or when I feel anxiety kicking in and I start to feel that loss of control, I grab that piece of jasper, and it's literally, it feels like an anchor. It brings me back down, helps me to center, take a breath, and kind of keep pushing forward kind of thing. And then this candle here is a candle that I kind of decorated. I just printed out the focus statement for my dissertation. And I got the idea of the focus statement from this book, Demystifying Dissertation Writing by Peg Boyle. If you are in the social sciences or the humanities and you're about to start a PhD, you're in the middle of a PhD, or you're thinking about a PhD, or you're about to start your dissertation, grab a copy of that book and read it, please. Do yourself a favor. It's an amazing book, and it's really helped me to see this huge dissertation project as something that I can actually do and that is feasible. But anyway, so the focus statement is just kind of where you state your research interests, the main problems or questions that you'll be addressing, the type of contributions you're going to make to your field, what you'll be studying, and kind of the theoretical theoretical works that you'll be building on, that kind of thing, and your methodology too. So it's meant to just be kind of like a kind of general statement about the direction that you would like to take with your dissertation. And it only appears, it's not official, like part of your dissertation or anything. It just appears in your outlining and things like that, just to make sure there's consistency in your work and everything ties together well. So this is just a piece of paper that I printed my research statement on. I trimmed it down to fit the candle. I glued it on there with some Mod Podge, or whatever that stuff is called. Hodgepodge, Mod Podge, Mod Pod. I can't remember, but you know what I'm talking about, glue. And then I kind of came up with this kind of graph image thing that represented to me how the 4 classical elements, earth, air, fire, and water, relate to the writing process. And so we have the fire of inspiration, and then the opposite pole of that is the earth, manifestation, and then over here is water, which is intuition and feeling your way through it and making connections. And then on the other end here is the air of planning and rational thinking and strategizing. And so in those intersections, we have outlining, writing, well, brainstorming, outlining, writing, and then revising. So that is a spell candle that I plan to write every time I sit down to do work, to help me stay motivated, to help me keep pushing forward, and to help me through the writing process, because right now I'm in the outlining process still for my prospectus. But here in the next few weeks I'll be writing, so yes. But basically, this is my office / research altar. Oh, I forgot to mention the incense. So this is a cute little incense burner I got recently. I don't have any incense burning now. As you can see, there's ashes in there from this morning's incense. But I found this delicious lemongrass incense made by Maroma, I believe. And it's fair trade. And I just got that at the local kind of hippy-dippy food store, health and food store. So that is my special incense for working in here in my dissertation. So yeah, let's move on to the working altar. Alright, so we were in the office, which is down the hallway on the left. And now we're in the part of the hallway that opens up to the living room, and this is my working altar. And I call it my working altar because literally it's where all my most used tools are. So starting from the top and working our way down, and again, this is another cheap bookshelf where I keep all my witchy stuff. We have a candle de Guadalupe. I've really been working with her energy lately, as I mentioned earlier. We have this little bowl here, which has quite a bit of good-sized, like palm-sized crystals that every once in a while I'll reach in here and grab something if I feel I need it. So some extra crystals here. And then this is from the Rumi Oracle, also by Alana Fairchild, and it's specifically the card A New Gown. It's about transformation and adopting and growing into new identities and going through changes and phases in life. And I have this card here because I'm in the middle of a transformation that I have been resisting this whole summer, basically. But now that it's Monday August 13th, and classes started today at the university where my husband works. He's actually about to go teach calculus in a couple hours, but anyway. But this whole summer I've kind of struggled with that transition, that growth from when you when you go from being the student to becoming the scholar, right? The student to the expert. It's a scary transition to go through, and I think that's what the dissertation process is kind of all about, or at least for me, that's what it's about. And so I'm adopting the new gown, I'm putting on the new identity, and trying to grow and kind of surrender to the changes, so that's why that card is there. And then here we have just some crystals like labradorite, bloodstone, I think this is snowflake obsidian, and this is a little, this is my hagstone / fossil that I got at the creek where I grew up fishing in Kentucky. But this is where I have my daily tarot card pulls. And this is from the Tarot Apocalypsis. Beautiful deck. And I got the Judgment card. I mean, just look how intense that is. I mean, it's obviously a reference to the different flood myths around the world and Judgment and all that fun stuff. But anyhow, then over here on this side I have tools. My sage and Palo Santo, my holy anointing oil. I got this amazing container, this glass bottle with the stopper here, at a Goodwill a while ago. Some Florida water. This is just a little kind of spray that I like to spray myself with every morning, kind of a cleansing spray. It's just water with little pieces of crystal chips in the bottom. You can hear them rattling around. And then some drops of lemongrass essential oil, like the lemongrass incense in the office. My Tibetan bowl. Here's a big chunk of rose quartz with my mala beads, resting and charging on them. The mala beads are made out of bloodstone. This is a random seashell that I found in our backyard of our apartment complex that I liked, so I washed it up and brought it in here. A bell for when I meditate, and then a diffuser, essential oil diffuser. And then, let me back up here. If you look down here, I have all the other tools and ingredients that I like to use. I have witchy herbs, charcoal, and a place to burn homemade incenses, and then a small little collection of essential oils. Then down here I have my tarot and oracle decks and their boxes, some of their boxes, candles, mortar and pestle, some more crystals in that bowl back there, and then some of the guidebooks to some of the decks that I own. So this is the working altar, and if we turn directly across here, over here is the kitchen, and then here, between the kitchen and the living room, is my main altar. So let's check that out next. Alright, and here we are at the main altar. This will look familiar to you if you follow me on Instagram, because I often take pictures of it. But yeah, basically my main altar is for reverence and for me to connect with the divine, whatever that may be. So starting at the top here, we have my matron, who I call Mama Creatrix. And then this is actually a prayer that I wrote yesterday as part of a ritual when I was putting together that spell candle that's on my research altar that I showed earlier. Just to help me through these transitions and help me get the work done and not let my anxiety get the better of me. And then here is a jar, and inside the jar is lots of little knickknacks. You'll see there's actually a medication bottle there that contains the very last pill of Zoloft that I was taking last year. For about a 6-month period from March to September last year, I just needed some extra support going through some rough times. So I went on medication and then slowly weaned myself off the medication because I do have depression and anxiety, all under supervision of a medical professional, by the way. But yeah, like inside that jar, I've put so many little things that remind me of my journey and my story and who I am. So this jar is me, and I have it directly under my matron because, you know, I am divine, right? So as I worship or honor these different symbols, archetypes, energies, whatever you want to call them, I am worshiping and honoring myself. At least that's how I view things. So yeah, matron, divine masculine, divine feminine on either side of her. She is actually standing on top of this structure right here. Is actually an old clock that belonged to my grandmother that, in a very old video, maybe I'll have it linked up here, after my grandpa died and my parents were cleaning out the house to sell it, we found a lot of cool stuff from my grandma, because my grandmother died several years before my grandpa did. And so one of the things we found was this cool like jewelry box / clock thing, and on each of the little drawers on the jewelry box, there's painted the symbols of different zodiac signs, and so it's so witchy. I love it. So anyway, so that's what she's standing on top of here, this structure thing in the back right there. And then there's me in my jar. I have a little glass skull. I have some oracle cards from the, the name is escaping me. Oh Lord, I cannot remember the name of this oracle deck. It's actually the first oracle deck that I gifted to my partner to help him kind of practice with it. Somebody, soul cards maybe, is that what they're called? Anyhow, somebody will write in the comments down below what the name of this oracle deck is. I'm having a major brain fart right now, but each of these cards that I've picked is also designed to help me kind of push forward and get the work done. This is a candle that I made that I think just went out, so I need to make a new one. Here is a little space for Guadalupe, and each of the kind of divine figures, except for the matron, each of them are standing on top of a little mirror because I like the idea of whenever I bend down to look at them. Let's see if this will work. Ta-da! I'm also looking at myself. That idea that I am divine, right? These archetypes and symbols exist within me and without me, right? And here's Mother Mary with the rosary beads that my grandma gave me when I went through my first communion way back in the day. A chalice with water and salt, and then a little incense burner for her, and we believe that's an owl feather because I found it at our old apartment and there used to be an owl that lived in that area. Some crystals. Oh, and this little thing I actually got in New Orleans. It's a little box, and inside are the bullet casings from my grandfather's funeral. He was in the Marines and the Army. He was a Korean and Vietnam War veteran, and so he had the like 21 gun salute or whatever for his funeral a few years ago, and so I kept a couple of the shells that they used for that, and they stay in there for him. Incense, my wand that I got at Salem last October. I believe I have a haul, so I'll have that pop up here too, a Salem haul. I had such a wonderful witchy trip. And then over here is La Santa Muerte, or Death, who I also work with a little bit here and there with some fossils and animal bones and a money jar there. And then St. Michael the Archangel is also a symbol, archetype, spirit, whatever, that I work with. And he is also on top of Hi! A mirror with a fossilized shark tooth, and then here is a piece of the Berlin Wall as a reminder that walls are built to be taken down. Let's build bridges, not walls. And yeah, that is my main altar. So all in all, I have 3 altars. The one in the office is very new. It's only a few weeks old. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. It's very rambly, but there you go. Alright, my study break is over and I need to get back to work. But until next time, many blessings. Bye!